The purpose of our spiritual practice is to purify our ego or to purify our identity. Purification of our ego means transforming our ego as the vehicle of God, or transforming time as the vehicle of eternity. And that is really the essence of our spirituality. In that sense, we can say that there is only one way to God, and this one way is the purification of the ego. And the purpose of all religions, all scriptures, all techniques and all masters is nothing but to help us to purify our ego. And of course there are many practices proposed to purify one's ego. And there are two methods which are well tested methods. One is prayer and the other one is meditation. And prayer is very much linked to the prophetic religions, let us say, and where God is understood as a personal God, and prayer is the relationship with God. And meditation is very much proposed in the Oriental religions like Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. Even though there is also a prayer in Hinduism, people go to the temples to worship gods and to have prayers. In Buddhism also they pray to Buddha. They have temples of Buddha's temples, and Jainism also praying to their great teachers. But the predominant technique is meditation, and in these religions some believe in God and some don't believe in God. And in Hinduism there is understanding of God as a personal God but also impersonal God. So if there is a personal God, then prayer becomes very relevant. If you don't believe in personal God, then meditation becomes very important. Okay. But as I said, the purpose of prayer and meditation is the same. But of course, prayer is not just asking something from God. Generally, prayer is understood like that. But there is a kind of evolution in our relationship with God through prayer. And the first stage of prayer is called intercessory prayer, in which we ask God our needs. I want this, I want this, I want this. Okay. And the second type of prayer is called thanksgiving prayer. That means when we receive something from God, then we thank God for the things that we have received. So prayers of intercession and thanksgiving prayer are very much normal type of prayer. Then there is a prayer of friendship. That means we don't ask God anything, but we just speak to God as a friend speaking to another friend. So the relationship is not a kind of master and the servant, if you like, but more of a friendship. Okay? And then the prayer also can evolve into prayer of silence. That means we don't ask God, we don't speak to God, but we just be in the presence of God. Just like two intimate friends, or just be in the presence of each other, not with a lot of words. And then the prayer can grow into prayer of listening to God. And there we say, oh God, I want to listen to you. You know, you remember the prayer of Samuel, when God was calling prophet Samuel, 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 and then he goes to Eli, the priest, did you call me? Did you call me? I am here. No, I did not call you, go and sleep 3 times. And then Eli recognizes that God was calling the boy. He says, if he calls you, say, speak Lord, for your servant is listening. And then we don't know what God spoke to him, but he became a prophet. So it is listening to God. And that is a very, very important stage of prayer. And to listen to God, there must be a kind of inner silence, inner emptiness, that we have no demands. There is some kind of serenity so that we are able to listen to God. Okay? And then, of course, the voice of God is really, you can say, to allow God to work in and through us. And that is really the ultimate purpose of our life, is to allow God to work in and through us. And in that request, we discover the real purpose of life, and then we surrender to God. The prayer. Prayer is to surrender ourselves completely to God in an existential sense and to become the vehicles of God. And then we say, I am in God and God is in me. That means my life is not my life, but God's life. My actions are not my actions, but God's actions. And of course, prayer can go a little further and say, I and God are one. So this is really the evolution of prayer, through which we purify ourselves and realize unity with God. Okay. And if we come to meditation, meditation is not so much of using our words. It is a kind of observation. Meditation is the whole purpose of meditation is to stop the rational mind, to stop the rational thinking mind, thought process. And that is why they propose techniques like mantra, reciting a mantra. In the Christian meditation, they propose Maranatha, the mantra, or focusing on something, an object outside, a dot on the wall, or focusing on the tip of the nose, or in between the eyebrows, so that you try to transcend your rational mind. So it's to go beyond the rational mind and to discover something profound. In some meditations, it is breathing. You observe especially in Vipassana meditation, I think, there's this focus on the breathing, and some meditations kind of observation. You observe your mind. It is like the mind is like a fire that is burning, and you are watching this fire, but you don't put any firewood into that. You are just watching it. So because you are not putting any firewood into that, it burns and burns and burns, and it will extinguish by itself. That means the mind becomes very silent. Okay, and then you discover something very profound, transcendent reality within ourselves, which goes beyond time and space. Okay, and there is also subtle difference the way we experience God or ultimate reality through prayer and also through meditation. Because it seems to me, again, these are all relative, I just to say according to my observation. I may be wrong also, maybe somebody give a better understanding. In prayer, there is an experience of surrender, the will of God, and also experience of the grace of God. That grace of God is given to you. And also a kind of vocation to do something for the world, for outside. A kind of mission, if you like. Not only my own inner realization, but also that I need to something to contribute, something for the neighbor, for the world outside. There is a kind of action, if you like. Prayer also proposes a kind of transformative action. And in meditation, it seems to me that you discover this reality which goes beyond time and space, but it is not. There may not be an experience of grace in the sense of somebody gives you something, and you experience of grace, surrendering one's will to the divine will, but transcending with awareness. And so, even though the goal of both prayer and meditation is the same, and the way one experiences reality of God is little different through prayer and through meditation. For example, in the Indian tradition, the goal of spiritual life is ascending. You just ascend to the divine, and then you remain there. But in the case of Jesus' experience, it is both ascending and the descending, they join together. If you see Jesus' experience, the heavens are opened, it's a kind of ascending, and then the Spirit of God descends, the descending aspect. That means that the God in a way enters into time and space. And so you have a mission in a way to do something in time and not just climbing up and remaining there, but then bringing down the Spirit of God in time and space. And then this aspect was proposed by famous sage Sri Aurobindo. You might have heard about him. He's one of the great thinkers of India. He said the Vedic tradition, the Upanishadic tradition is very much ascending aspect. There is no descending aspect. And he said we have to bring down the Spirit of God to the time and the space, into the creation, into the body, and transform that by the Spirit of God. And so sometimes in meditation, the focus is very much ascending, and then there may be transformation, but transformation of one's body, one's mind and everything, but there is no proposition of transformation of so it remains very much individualistic in that sense, personal, but not something expanding to the world. But in prayer, it is not only your own experience of God, but somehow you also seems to receive a kind of mission for the world, for the neighbor, and for the transformation of the world. So there is a subtle difference between experience of God through prayer and experience of God through meditation. But the purpose is the same, the purification of the ego and transforming the ego as the vehicle of God. My proposition is that we need to integrate both prayer and meditation. Prayer is very much connected to, at one level, to our emotions, our feelings, and so we need to integrate those aspects. And prayer is the best way of becoming aware of these things and expressing them and placing them in the hands of God. Okay, and sometimes those who meditate seems to neglect this area of emotions and everything. You try to go beyond, but that you don't deal with that. And so, if we are able to recognize our emotions and express them through prayer, then meditation becomes easy, if you like. But if your emotions are not silenced, the meditation may become a little difficult. And so I suggest that before you meditate, that you can have prayer, and then you do the meditation. Sometimes singing, these things are also very useful because they they enliven our heart. They make our heart full of feelings and joy, and so prayer as verbally or even singing can be very, very useful.